Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I am Deja B. I want to say thank you to my subscribers and those that have been watching. Today I will be sharing the top 2 cult stories. I will post new content 1 to 2 times a week. So, if you're a fan of creepy and scary stories, I believe I have it here. So, with all that said, sit back, relax, and stay away from those dark corners.
In the quiet town of Clemmons, North Carolina, an aura of darkness began to envelop the otherwise peaceful neighborhood. Pazuzu Algarad, a name that struck terror into the hearts of those who knew him, was not just a typical resident. He was a disturbed Satanist who operated a house of horrors, creating a living nightmare for those unfortunates enough to be caught in his malevolent web. Pazuzu Algarad, born John Alexander Lawson on August 12, 1978, was no stranger to trouble from an early age. His life was marked by a turbulent childhood and an obsession with the occult. As he grew older, his descent into madness and depravity only deepened. As a young boy, Pazuzu showed early signs of a troubled mind. Raised by a dysfunctional family, he struggled with mental health issues that were never properly addressed. His fascination with Satanism began to take root in his teenage years, and he adopted the name Pazuzu, taken from a demon in ancient Mesopotamian mythology. Pazuzu's transition into a full-fledged Satanist marked a disturbing turning point. He covered his body in tattoos and body modifications, turning himself into a grotesque caricature of evil. His appearance was unsettling, but his actions were far worse. By the time he reached adulthood, Pazuzu was living in a squalid house in Clemmons, North Carolina, along with his girlfriend, Amber Birch, and a revolving door of transient individuals who were drawn into his sinister world. The house became a center of debauchery, addiction, and violence, and the neighbors soon became aware of the ominous activities taking place within its walls. The House of Horrors was a nightmarish place where drugs flowed freely, and rituals to dark deities were a common occurrence. Pazuzu had created a cult-like following, convincing his loyal followers to participate in increasingly bizarre and cruel acts. Animal sacrifices, self-mutilation, and violent sexual acts were just some of the horrors that unfolded behind the closed doors of the house. The depths of Pazuzu's depravity reached their zenith when he and his girlfriend, Amber Birch, murdered 2 men, Joshua Wetzler and Tommy Welch, in 2009. Their motives remain unclear, but it is believed that the murders were connected to drug-related disputes and Pazuzu's obsession with Satanism. The 2 victims were buried in the backyard, where their bodies would remain hidden for years. The discovery of the gruesome crimes and the House of Horrors was a shock to the Clemmons community. In 2014, authorities were finally alerted to the horrors taking place in the house when a woman named Crystal Matlock came forward with information about the murders. The police swiftly moved in to investigate. When the police entered the house, they were met with a scene that defied belief. The place was littered with trash, drug paraphernalia, and satanic symbols. The stench of decay hung in the air, and the walls were covered in disturbing graffiti. They soon uncovered the remains of Joshua Wetzler and Tommy Welch in the backyard, their bodies partially dismembered and concealed. Pazuzu Algarad and Amber Birch were arrested and charged with murder. As the details of their crimes were revealed, it became clear that Pazuzu had created a house of horrors where the most unthinkable acts took place. His hold over his followers was so strong that they willingly participated in the atrocities he orchestrated. During the trial, Pazuzu Algarad's defense argued that he was not in his right mind due to severe mental illness. He had spent years living in the darkness of his own mind, obsessed with Satanism and reveling in the pain and suffering of others. Despite the gruesome evidence, some wondered if he was truly capable of understanding the consequences of his actions. Pazuzu's trial unfolded as a grotesque spectacle, mirroring the twisted world he had created. However, justice was eventually served. In February 2015, he pled guilty to murder and was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Amber Birch also pled guilty to the murders and was sentenced to 30 years in prison. The House of Horrors, once a symbol of unimaginable evil, was torn down and replaced by a quiet, nondescript home, erasing the physical evidence of the nightmare that had occurred there. The community breathed a sigh of relief, but the scars of Pazuzu Algarad's reign of terror would never fully heal. With his death and the life he led, is a chilling reminder of the darkness that can exist in even the most unsuspecting places. His journey from a troubled youth to a disturbed Satanist who ran a house of horrors is a horrifying tale of the depths to which some individuals can sink. The legacy of his crimes, the lives he destroyed, and the terror he instilled in an entire community will never be forgotten, serving as a stark warning of the horrors that can hide behind closed doors.
Before we continue, if you like what you have seen and heard so far, please don't forget to like, subscribe and comment down below. Thank you and stay seated.
Marshall Applewhite, a former music professor, was the charismatic leader of the infamous Heaven's Gate cult. His name became synonymous with one of the most tragic and bizarre events in American history, a mass suicide conducted in the belief that it would enable members to reach a higher existence through a spaceship trailing behind the Hale-Bopp comet. Marshall Herv Applewhite was born in 1931 in Spur, Texas, and spent his early years in a devoutly Christian household. A gifted musician, he studied at several universities and even worked as a choir director and a professor. However, by the 1970s, he began to show signs of mental instability, and his life took a dramatic turn. In 1975, Applewhite met Bonnie Nettles, a nurse with an interest in the paranormal and spirituality. Their encounter would change the course of their lives and those who would later follow them. Together, they founded what would become the Heaven's Gate cult, blending elements of Christianity, science fiction, and New Age beliefs into a bizarre and apocalyptic belief system. The cult's members believed that they were extraterrestrial beings inhabiting human bodies, and that they had to transcend their earthly existence to reach the next level of existence. To achieve this transformation, Applewhite and Nettles preached that they must abandon their human vessels and board a spaceship that was hidden behind the Hale-Bopp comet. This spaceship, they believed, would transport their souls to a higher plane of existence. As the years passed, Applewhite's influence over the cult grew, and his hold on the members intensified. He convinced his followers to adopt a strict, monastic lifestyle, cut ties with their families, and dedicate themselves entirely to the cult's beliefs. They adopted new names and lived communally, working jobs to fund the cult's activities. The pivotal event that would thrust the Heaven's Gate cult into the spotlight occurred in 1997 when the Hale-Bopp comet made its closest approach to Earth in over 2,000 years. Applewhite and his followers believed that this was the prophesied moment when they could ascend to the spaceship, and they set a date for the mass suicide. On the night of March 24, 1997, 39 members of the cult, including Marshall Applewhite, consumed a lethal mixture of barbiturates mixed with applesauce or pudding. They wore identical black and white attire, covered themselves in purple shrouds, and laid down in bunk beds in a mansion they had rented for the occasion. Each member had a $5 bill and a roll of quarters in their pocket, to be used for travel expenses in the afterlife. In a chilling farewell video made just before the mass suicide, Applewhite spoke of their impending departure, urging those left behind to learn from their actions and follow the cult's beliefs. He calmly explained that they were shedding their earthly existence to join the spaceship behind the comet. The next day, authorities discovered the lifeless bodies of Applewhite and his followers. The mass suicide sent shockwaves through the nation, capturing the attention of the media and the public. The tragedy was a stark reminder of the power of charismatic leaders to manipulate and control vulnerable individuals. Marshall Applewhite's legacy is one of profound tragedy and a stark warning about the dangers of cults and extremist belief systems. His ability to persuade his followers to willingly end their lives in the name of a spaceship trailing a comet stands as a chilling example of the lengths to which individuals can be driven when subjected to the influence of a charismatic leader. In the end, the Heaven's Gate cult and its leader became a symbol of the dark side of human psychology and the profound consequences that can arise from the intertwining of belief, delusion, and charismatic leadership. The mass suicide orchestrated by Marshall Applewhite remains a haunting chapter in American history, a stark reminder of the fragility of the human mind and the depths of devotion that can lead individuals to commit unspeakable acts.
Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment down below. Thank you.